Scientifically speaking, we're sharing the view. From labs to clinics, breakthrough shining through, with minds that inspire and stories to unfold. Scientifically speaking, the future's being told.
Welcome to Scientifically Speaking with Christine, where we talk about medical topics that matter to families. Before we start, allow me to thank Laurent for the new look of my hair today. But today we're really joined by Dr. Sam Nassar, an experienced pediatrician across Lebanese and Australian community. He specializes in general pediatrics with a strong focus on developmental and behavioral conditions, including Autism Spectrum Disorder. So, Dr. Nassar, welcome to the show.
Thanks for inviting me. Pleasure for me.
Of course, it's our pleasure too.
You can tell, I'm casual here, so we're having a casual meeting today.
Definitely, this is just a casual talk for our community to know a little bit more about autism that might concern a lot of families.
Yes.
So let's dig in. My first question to you would be, what is really autism, as simple as we can say, and how does it typically is presented in kids?
Well, autism is simply just a brain of kids with autism and people with autism. They just wired differently.
Right.
It's a neurodevelopmental disorder. What does that mean? Neuro, that means something to do with the brain, and development, the progress of his milestone and the development of these. So that's as simple as it is.
So that just their brain functions differently.
Spectrum, it's mean that every child is different. So there's no two kids who's on the spectrum, they're different.
Right.
So some of kids, they need just a little bit of support, and some they need substantial support or very substantial support.
Right. And by support, do you mean, is it physical, mental, cognitive, educational? What kind of support can it be?
So most of it, it's mental, it's behavioral, it's learning, it's developmental. So in other words, the functioning of the child, the functioning capacity. Autism, usually, it's mainly two core symptoms. So one, so maybe we can.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one is the social and communication skills impairment.
Right.
These kids, they do have difficulty with social interaction. So they have difficulty to initiate friendship or initiate talk with people. Some of them, they have difficulty with also the communication skills. Whether it's verbal communication skills, like, language-wise, or non-verbal, like eye contact, like pointing, body language.
Wow.
And the other main component of autism spectrum disorder is the repetitive and restrictive patterns of behavior and movement. So they have fixation on certain things, like, for example, in a younger age, they love dinosaurs, love cars.
Right.
And older kids, they love maps, they love planets. And
Amazing.
so on.
And they repetitively play with them, like they might go in circles with the same toy or the same, so they have repetition as well in there.
Well, again, it's a spectrum. They can have just mild symptoms of this repetition, and they can be really severe in terms of this repetition or restricted behavior.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
At what age can parents start noticing, if we can say, early signs of autism, and what should they be really looking for? Maybe we mentioned some of them already.
So usually they present before they turn 2 years of age.
Okay.
But they can also, if they really, it's evidence and the symptoms are obvious for the parents or for any other person, they can be from 9 months. The youngest of diagnosis is 9 months.
Oh, wow.
But she had 2 other siblings with autism spectrum, and mom, she knows very well these symptoms. So it's a range, but usually before 2 years of age, they present.
And what kind of early symptoms can we see in them?
Well, the symptoms, again, they divided into two main ones. The social and communication
Right.
skills impairment, which is, they have difficulty to socialize, to interact with
Right.
people. So they solo player, they play by themselves. They don't, they play aside people, so aside other kids. So they don't point, they don't have a good eye contact, they don't talk really well, initiate talk. It's a spectrum. The other, as we mentioned before, is a repetitive behavior or a repetitive movement.
Yes.
Which is, as I said, the fixation. They like to spin things, like spin the wheel of the inappropriate play with a toy, like the toy, the cars. they play vin vin.
Yeah.
But they line the car, they turn it around, and they just spin the wheels for really
Just a unique behavior
for long
kind of
period.
Yeah.
And also the repetitive movement, which is like hands flapping or body rocking or sometimes looking at their fingers and so on and so on. The list is so
It's
big,
so
but
long.
this is the most common one.
That is very interesting. And what are some of the common myths, if we can say, or misconceptions that you often hear about autism in your clinic?
There's many of them.
Many.
Of them. But the most damaging one is a vaccine.
Oh, that was my next question. There you go. You beat me to it.
So please, take it out of your mind. Vaccine save lives.
Oh.
So MMR has nothing to do with
Right.
autism, and this is a myth that I think it goes back to maybe 20 years ago when a pediatrician in the UK he fraudulently, complete a study and funded by people that against vaccination.
Oh, so I went very political.
And he said, and was published in a very reputable medical journal. The Lancet is one of the most reputable. And he said, vaccine is from MMR vaccine is very much related to autism. So. What happened after that? They did a study on millions of kids, and they didn't find any link between MMR vaccine and autism. And this pediatrician his license was stripped, and he was
Wow, I did
That's one of the damaging.
Yeah. Well, it was on my list, to be honest, and I'm like. All right, and how can you maybe clarify this medically? And you perfectly did that. Like, they did a lot of studies. It's not related. Vaccines save lives. So whoever is watching, no, vaccines and autism is not related.
100%.
Thanks for busting that for us. But what steps should parents take if they really suspect a symptom that their child might be having on the spectrum? What's the next step?
Well, first, you don't need to have a diagnosis, okay?
Right.
So you don't need to have a diagnosis.
Right.
If your child has any weaknesses or developmental delay, so he's not socializing, he's not talking, he's doing some unusual behavior.
Okay.
So just start to work with him. Just take him to childcare, to a play group, mingle with other children. Start to talk. Of course, you need to talk to your family doctor. You need to talk to a health professional like speech therapist, occupational. They can help. If you need further reassurance, of course, you need to ask for a referral to see a pediatrician, and who can do further assessment, reassure you, and there's no need to make the diagnosis early. The diagnosis. It's just a label. We don't think about the label. We think about what the child is able.
100%.
Okay, so that's
I agree with that, but in Australia especially, a diagnosis is kind of important for early primary school, let's say, so that they know that they really need an extra help or attention. So people or parents would run to get this diagnosis, to give it to school and start working on a plan. How do you get that diagnosis?
Thank you for this question, Christine. This is very important.
Yes.
And when the times comes to start school, of course, we need to do a diagnosis. But before 5-6 years of age, there's no need. there's a need maybe sometimes for NDIS funding, because
Right.
sometimes now NDIS, they used to give funding even if the parents call that the child has issue, that has
Right.
language delay, that has some unusual behavior, that has developmental delay.
Right.
So they used to give funding for parents. They assess them very briefly
Right.
and give them funding. Now I'm getting a lot of parents that they not getting this funding, and they want a diagnosis or they want a report from the pediatrician. So sometimes have to
Medically needed
I
for
have
certain
to I
things,
have
yeah.
to assess the child
Right.
and give them a diagnosis. Not necessarily a diagnosis for autism, by the way.
Yes.
A diagnosis of development, a global developmental delay,
okay.
will suffice for the NDIS to give them the funding to start
Yes.
the early intervention, which is very important.
Yes.
So this is important for the parents to understand that
Yes.
early detection and early intervention is the principle and the key in these kids. So we need to act early.
Definitely.
And start the process
I
of
agree.
intervention.
And then for school, it would be the same process like the NDIS, but later during the years.
Well, for the school, I mean, we've got time. So
Yeah.
until they're 5, 6 years of age,
Yes.
certainly we need to
Yes.
assess the child, because we need to.
Yes.
The school need to know, and we want the school to help this child as much as possible.
Right.
So does the child need a mainstream school? Or does the child need a mainstream class? Or the child need a mainstream class with support? Or the child need a support unit in a mainstream school?
Wow,
So
very
that's
diverse.
important to know. So it's not only the diagnosis of autism, but I mean, there's with autism, there's also comorbidity, we call it, like associated problem, like intellectual problem,
Right.
like other issues, ADHD and other things.
RCD, they usually are
Well,
associated.
OCD is part of the
Yeah.
autism as well. So we need to understand all these associated
Yeah.
problems,
Yeah.
so we can tell the school this is the case, and this is you need to put enough support in place.
Amazing.
Or the right support in place.
Amazing. So you as pediatricians do have a crucial role in that, and we thank you for being hand in hand with the parents. But we do hear a lot of parents claiming or reporting that there is delays for over 2 years before the child really gets assessed by a specialist. What would you say about that? Does it really take time, and why?
Well, look, there's a pressure on the medical system in general in Australia. In the public system, also the pressure is very high. I mean, this is a public, so people, they don't pay money, and and the wait can be just over 12 months. So again, I mean, they don't need to have a diagnosis early.
Right.
Okay. So they can start working with the child, enroll him in a child care, seeing a speech therapist, occupation therapist, and other health professional. Now, I mean, with the pediatrician, my waiting list maybe is much less. I mean,
good.
But again, I mean, there's we are private, so there's cost, and we have to charge a gap, a fee, so to accommodate for all these children. But look, we're doing quite well so far. I mean, all the pediatricians, I mean, they're trying their best. I mean, of course, a lot of us are burned out. I mean, we're doing over our capacity.
And we thank all the medical teams. Definitely,
I think in general, as I mentioned, to reassure the parents, please, you don't need to wait.
Yes.
So please act early, see a speech. Also, I mean, the problem is also, I mean, these health professionals, they have a long waiting list as well now, especially with the establishing of the NDIS.
Yes.
Everyone wants to work now, and everyone wants to.
Of course, yes, we understand. So we can say to the parents, don't worry, even if the wait is long, if you're going under the public sector.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Just go with the flow, integrate.
Yeah, well, start working with your child. Start working with him, play with him, communicate with him, get some strategies. Now we've got all the doctors online. I mean, you can get as much tips as you want. I mean, 100%. Watch video look at what helps, what strategies help,
Wow.
and start working with your children.
That is amazing to hear. Doctor, you did mention that it's a neuro case, right? So there's a lot of speech delays sometimes, learning difficulties. I do understand we are under the spectrum. It can be from nothing to very complicated. But how are these speech and learning difficulties really related to autism? And are they always a sign of ASD?
Of course not.
Yeah.
But they're very much interrelated.
Right.
Very much interrelated. So, for example, language delay used to be a one of the criteria to diagnose autism.
Okay.
Now they removed it. So
Okay.
you don't have to have a language delay to diagnose autism. Okay?
Right.
But with still, any child with language delay, you need to assess him if he does have autism or not. So
Of course, you need to tick off or in the box. Yeah.
So same learning difficulty when we're talking about learning. Learning, we talk about it when the child is at school age.
Yes.
Delay and developmental delay or speech delay is just before 5-6 years of age. But the learning difficulties when the child starts school and he's not learning, he's not performing well at school.
Right.
So that will be a lot of differential diagnosis
Yes.
or problems. So it could be autism, could be intellectual problem, could be specific learning disability like dyslexia, dyscalculia,
Yes, okay.
and this so like problem in reading and
Yes.
maths and stuff. It could be other things like ADHD and
ADD, there's a lot of them now.
and anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's they're very much interrelated. I mean, there's you can go online and look at how they related. They always put the autism and they put the learning difficulty here, language delay here,
Yeah.
ADHD here. They're all related, in one
yeah.
way.
But it's not just, typically or definitely an autism case.
No,
and
certainly
it's not.
not.
That a neuro. Yeah.
Autism, they have to have social and communication skills impairment. This is one of the criteria,
Right.
and repetitive and restrictive behavior.
Okay.
So if they don't have these, for example, if you have only language delay, you
Right.
can't diagnose autism.
Right.
If they have learning difficulty, but he's social and he doesn't have behavioral
It's not
problem,
autism.
it's not autism. But you need to, of course, I mean, the role of the pediatrician is a detective.
Put the links together.
Yeah, they have to
Yes.
put the links together. So when he sees, only learning difficulty or poor academic performance, so he rule out straight away with a child with good social skills and no
Wow.
behavioral problem. He rule out straight away.
Yeah.
The autism.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Doctor, after you put all the links together and you come out with a diagnosis, whether it's important or not at that stage, what treatment or support can you really give, or is it available in Australia for those children diagnosed with autism?
Well, look, the treatment is, we spoke about it briefly, but mainly is we need to start early intervention.
Yes.
When I say early or early intensive intervention, the early intensive intervention. When we say talking about early intensive intervention, this means at least 20 hours of work with a child every week.
Wow.
So what does that mean? It's not only speech therapy 1 hour a week and occupation therapy 1 hour a week, but these people, for example, they give you homework for the parents to work with the child. They go to the childcare and ask them to also work with the child. So all these at home, at childcare, with the therapist, if we works really intensively and earlier,
It's a team effort with
the outcome will be much, much better. I can tell
Right.
you. I see it every day. The outcome is much
Right.
better.
Right.
So that's the main, and that's evidence based. So if you
Right.
look around the last 50 years, that's evidence based.
Okay.
So start early and intensively, structure the program, really engage parents' engagement. That's all
Right.
good.
Amazing. So definitely early intervention, definitely a teamwork, and definitely therapies these are the therapies that truly work, if we can say. That is amazing. Now, you did mention earlier one of your patients, the mom knew about the symptoms because she had
to the other
to
kids.
other cases. So do you tell me that family history of autism does go along? Like it means my child has to have autism if I have a family case?
Well, certainly, look, the risk is higher. For example,
Right.
if you have a child, one child with autism, the second child has up to 10 to 20%
Oh,
risk of
wow.
having autism. But there's 80, 90% he may not have.
Yes.
Why do we need to look at the
Yeah,
10 to
just
20% of
stay
people that want
hopeful.
to stay hopeful, of course. Now,
Yeah.
if the family has two children
Yeah.
with autism, the
Right.
risk is higher.
Right.
The higher, the more higher is the risk if these children or these parents have a certain gene that's causing autism. So there's autism it's a genetic problem.
So can you detect
it's
it, doctor?
epigenetics. It's environmental and genetic.
Right.
There's 65% of the
Right.
causes of autism are genetic.
But can you test it? Can you like a blood test or
Of
a
course,
certain
you do a blood
can?
test
Oh,
and
okay.
you look for if you can detect any gene that it's linked to autism.
Oh.
So now they found about 200 genes that are linked to autism. They know about
Right.
200. But look, I mean, in my experience, maybe the yield is 1 in 1,000. Maybe it's
Right.
not high.
And
But it doesn't mean. I mean, also
Right.
that the autism is inherited. So the gene might be there, but it's not expressing.
Right.
All right. So you need maybe to have something environmental. For example,
Right.
mom during pregnancy, she took some drugs. She had some
Oh.
virus. There's some
That mutated,
pollution.
yeah.
Some that caused the gene to
Right.
be activated and expressed into autism.
Interesting. A very quick question related to that one. Is the risk higher when you have siblings with autism or when you have parents with autism?
Good question. But if you have a parent with autism, the risk is much higher.
Higher. Right.
That's theoretically when we're talking.
Right.
But also depends on if you said, I mean, the parents,
Yeah.
they have any certain gene
Right.
detected before. So,
You have
the
higher
risk
risk to
for
have a
him
child.
to passing it to
Yes.
his son or his daughter
Yes.
it depends on the structure of the genetics. There's the X-linked,
Yes.
there's the sex chromosome, there's the normal chromosome.
Right.
So it depends as well. So there's a multiple factors involved. That's why if we suspect genetic, we send them for genetic counseling,
Right.
which is a more specialized area.
Yes, and they decide if they wanna keep
they
on
look
going or
more
not.
on statistics and they look at the database around the world and they look at the genes and
Wow,
everything.
that's
yeah.
another world of
Yeah.
communication. But doctor, can autism be treated or outgrown? Are there challenges that can keep on going until adulthood if we were diagnosed with autism?
Look, autism cannot be cured.
Right.
I can tell you. I see it also in the last maybe 15 years. I've been seeing it that children change really
Wow.
dramatically.
Yeah.
They can be looked like normal. Okay, the parents may still see their children having some issues, but stranger he can't pick it up.
Right.
Okay. So that's why you need to act early because the outcome can be really good.
Wow.
I did mention before
Yeah.
about someone asked me in
Yeah.
one of my conference
Workshops,
or
yeah.
workshops,
Yeah.
and they asked me, "Can they get married?" So I
That was
told
my
them
next
about
question.
about 4 families that they have autism and they married.
And they got kids and
they
they're
got
fine.
kids. Yeah, I had a baby check last week
Oh,
for
that's
a young man who is
Has
married
autism.
and has autism.
Wow, that is amazing to
Yeah.
hear. So they can definitely go for a normal, if we can say normal life.
Yeah, well, we need to push them to reach the maximum potential.
Yes.
They can.
Amazing.
But what we need is not only reaching their maximum potential, we want them to live happily.
Right.
That's our
Without
aim.
challenges, without
yeah,
issues.
not depending on people. I mean,
Right.
they're happy. I've got a lot of kids. I mean, they now at uni, and
Yeah.
I'm proud of them. They're doing great.
We don't have to show age there, doctor. Just let's leave it at that. Before going to the end of our discussion for today, which was really interesting and had a lot of wise words there, I would like to tackle a little bit the emotional or social aspect behind autism. So what advice would you give the parents who feel overwhelmed by the process to getting a diagnosis and assessing support services? Like they do pass through emotional issues.
Well, look, the journey of parents with autism is divided maybe in 3 to 4 stage or phases.
Right.
The first stage they can have when they feel the diagnosis or hear about the diagnosis of their child. They can be a guilt or they can be denial, fear, anger. The second stage they start to adjust and look more into things.
Right.
The third stage, which is more important, and I wish that will be the first one, is the acceptance. They start to accept the problem.
Right.
Once they accept the problem, they can see that the strengths of their child. And the fourth steps, it's happening as well.
Right.
They start to advocate.
Oh.
They will be an autism advisor and they will be talking to people and reassuring them.
Yes.
Because they do well.
Yes.
So back to your questions
what do you advise the parents emotionally when they pass through
they need to breathe. They don't need to panic. I mean, look, there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
That's nice.
And I can tell you, like I tell every single parent, there was some condition that they were lethal just 10 years ago.
Right.
Now we found a medicine where they're not lethal, they live normal life.
There you go.
Like something called SMA, spinal muscular atrophy, I think. So they need to act early as well. Right. They need to really be engaged, accept the problem, and early intervention. And always, I mean, get support. There's nothing wrong of asking for support. Find your tribe. So find people that really have the same problem, and they can be very good
and helping you go through the way.
Yeah,
that is nice. So maybe that would answer my next question. That it is important for the community, like the schools and extended families and the society at large, to accept it as well and help you. How much would that take off the shoulder of the parents' shoulder?
Well, believe me, it's very much. They need to treat these children like any other child.
Right.
They need to understand that these children are programmed differently. I always give the kids this scenario when I explain their diagnosis when they turn maybe 10, 12.
Yeah, they're
so
aware.
You are programmed differently. You know, there's a Nokia, there's Samsung, there's iPhone. Every phone is different, and they program differently. And your brain maybe it's iPhone. Your mom is Samsung. My brain's Nokia. So everyone is different.
I love this. I love it. And we all glitch at a moment, so that's totally okay, as we can say. Is there
but
some?
This is sorry, but
go ahead.
This is important. So they need to be included.
Yes.
Okay. These kids, they as I said, their brain wired differently, and they want to have friends, but they don't know how to make it.
It's frustrating for them as well.
Yeah, they want to talk, but they can't. I mean, they need help. So we need to use everything possible. We need to understand them. I know it's hard. I mean, sometimes it takes. I mean, they need a specialized people to understand them. But I think we are in a country where there's a lot of education and
I agree.
awareness and things. They need to keep going and understand these kids.
Amazing.
And understand their parents that they are exhausted and overwhelmed. That they need help. Well, I'm sure some of them they are, but they need to they need to understand and help these parents, support them.
Amazing. Lastly, before I end, Doctor, we did speak a lot about the services and the treatments and interventions for the child with autism, and about maybe wise words and advice from your end to the parents. But are there really Australian services that can help parents go through their mental health?
Well, when you say mental health,
like the frustration and the distress they're going through when they are treating their child with autism.
Of course, there are. I mean, look, I mean, they can seek a friend. They can seek a psychologist support. They can talk to their pediatrician. They can talk to their family doctor.
They can be part of the intervention.
I mean, they need to look after themselves. You can't pour from the empty cup. So they need to have everything ready so that they can support their children.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's important
to
support these families.
Believe it or not, this was a very informative, and towards the end of our discussion, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Sam Nassar, for sharing your experience and breaking down such a complex medical issue. And today we can say that we do have the information, hopefully, to go forward. So thanks again.
No worries.
To our listeners who are with us today, autism is not a one-size-fits-all condition, like our doctor said today. And today's interview reminds us of the power of early recognition, evidence-based care, and compassionate understanding. To all the parents, carers, and community members watching us, remember, seeking answers is never wrong. Support is out there, and every step you take makes a difference in your child's journey. Until next time, this was Christine from Scientifically Speaking on Oz Arab Media.